Does a longer relationship mean a better chance of lasting forever? In Korean entertainment, the answer might surprise you. Some celebrity couples broke up after just a few months. Others stayed together for nearly 14 years before calling it quits. Today, we're counting down the shortest and the longest Korean celebrity relationships that ended in heartbreak, starting with the ones that barely had time to begin. Number 7. Lee Min-ho and Park Min-young. Before they became two of Korea's biggest stars, Lee Min-ho and Park Min-young looked like they were on their way to becoming the ultimate K-drama power couple. Looking back now, it's hard not to wonder what could have been. The two had reportedly crossed paths years earlier, but it was the 2011 SBS hit City Hunter that finally brought them together. Their chemistry as co-stars was undeniable, and barely a month after the drama wrapped, both agencies confirmed they were dating, revealing that feelings had grown during and after filming. And honestly, who could blame them? If you've watched City Hunter, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Their chemistry was electric. Every romantic scene felt so natural that fans couldn't help but root for them. Watching the drama now, it's hard not to wonder what was happening behind the cameras and whether some of those emotions were becoming a little too real. Fans were captivated. Lee Min-ho was rapidly becoming a Hallyu superstar, while Park Min-young was establishing herself as one of Korea's brightest leading ladies. It felt like the beginning of a relationship that could last for years. Instead, it ended almost as quickly as it began. In January 2012, news broke that the couple had already gone their separate ways. The official reason was their demanding schedules, but the delayed announcement and the quiet way the breakup unfolded left fans with plenty of unanswered questions. The answers never came. What did come were two remarkable careers. Lee Min-ho became one of the biggest Korean actors in the world, while Park Min-young went on to become one of the queens of romantic comedies. Their relationship may have been short, but even today, many fans still see them as one of K-drama's biggest what-if couples. Number 6. Lee Joon-gi and Jeon Hye-bin. This relationship is proof that sometimes the shortest public romances have the longest backstories. Lee Joon-gi and Jeon Hye-bin first met filming the 2014 historical drama Gunman in Joseon, and for years they were nothing more than close friends. Jeon Hye-bin later admitted she'd never even considered romance. She figured the two were too different and that she wasn't his type at all. But the more time they spent as friends, the more that changed. And by early 2016, they were quietly a couple. What's remarkable is how long they kept it hidden. It wasn't until April 2017, after photos surfaced, that both sides confirmed the romance. Fans were surprised, but many were glad to see two respected actors find love away from the spotlight. That love wouldn't stay public for long. 4 months later, in August 2017, their agency announced the split, citing the explanation K-drama fans have heard countless times: busy schedules. Both actors were buried in their careers, and the relationship had reportedly faded on its own. Not everyone bought it. After the relationship went public, Jeon Hye-bin had reportedly been hit with a wave of cruel comments online from fans who opposed the pairing, and as the theories spread, many began to suspect the relentless public scrutiny had played a bigger role than anyone would admit. Neither actor ever addressed those rumors, and no other explanation was ever confirmed. In the end, it closed quietly, without scandal. Two longtime friends who took a chance on romance, only to find that timing, and maybe the spotlight itself, wasn't on their side. Number 5. Nam Joo-hyuk and Lee Sung-kyung. Now this is a relationship fans practically manifested into existence. And nearly a decade later, many still haven't gotten over it. If you watched weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-ju, you remember the chemistry. The playful banter, the sweet romance, the effortless connection. It felt so real that fans immediately started hoping Nam Joo-hyuk and Lee Sung-kyung were dating off-screen too. As it turned out, they were, but their story began long before the drama. The two had been friends since their modeling days and had even appeared together in Cheese in the Trap before reuniting as Bok-ju and Jun-hyun in 2016. Old friends, slowly catching feelings. On April 24, 2017, YG Entertainment confirmed the relationship, noting the pair had grown close over the years before becoming a couple. For fans, it was the drama they loved, continuing in real life. The fairy tale didn't last. On August 18, 2017, just 4 months later, YG announced the breakup. And what made the news unusual was the silence around it. The agency skipped the standard line about conflicting commitments, simply confirming the split and declining to give any reason at all. That silence lit a fuse. Some fans doubted the breakup was even real. Others noticed neither actor deleted their photos of each other. Then came years of reunion rumors. Matching outfits, similar rings, cryptic posts, even a photo fan swore showed Joo-hyuk in the background of one of Lee Sung-kyung's uploads. Every new clue reignited the hope that they'd quietly found their way back. Nothing was ever confirmed, but unlike most celebrity splits, this one never really left fans' minds. Maybe because the chemistry felt so genuine, maybe because it ended so fast, or maybe because a lot of people still aren't convinced the story is over. Number 4. Lee Dong-wook and Suzy. This might be one of the most unexpected couples Korean entertainment has ever produced. On one side was Suzy, the nation's beloved first love. On the other was Lee Dong-wook, the charismatic star who had just captivated audiences worldwide through Goblin. They seemed like two people from completely different worlds, yet somehow they found their way to each other. It helped that Suzy had reportedly named Lee Dong-wook as her ideal type years earlier, so when dating reports surfaced in March 2018, it felt like a romantic comedy playing out in real life. Both agencies soon confirmed it, explaining the two had met through a private gathering and were getting to know each other. The romance was barely beginning, but public interest exploded, and so did the scrutiny. Much of the conversation fixated on the couple's 13-year age gap. Lee Dong-wook was 37, Suzy was 24, and the topic became impossible to escape online. Plenty of fans were supportive, but plenty more openly criticized it, and that noise followed the pair through their brief time together. Then, just 4 months in, it was over. In July 2018, both agencies confirmed the breakup, pointing to busy schedules. Officially, that was the whole story, though many couldn't help wondering whether the constant debate around the relationship had quietly worn it down. What makes the ending linger is what came after. Nothing. Lee Dong-wook has never publicly confirmed another relationship since, even joking over the years that he's grown too set in his ways, too comfortable on his own. Whether that traces back to this romance, no one knows. What's certain is that one of K Entertainment's most surprising couples arrived out of nowhere, seized everyone's attention, and vanished nearly as fast. Number 3. Jisoo and Bo-hyun. What happens when one of the world's biggest K-pop stars starts dating one of Korea's most popular actors? As it turns out, not even that combination guarantees a happy ending. When dating reports broke in August 2023, almost nobody saw them coming. No rumors, no leaked photos, no signs at all. On one side was Bo-hyun, the rising actor from Itaewon Class and My Name. On the other was Jisoo of Blackpink, one of the most recognizable celebrities on the planet. What surprised fans even more was the response. Instead of denying the reports, both agencies quickly confirmed the two were seeing each other with positive feelings. Even so, the couple kept things fiercely private. No public appearances, no social media hints, barely a glimpse. They seemed to be doing everything they could to shield it from the spotlight. But the spotlight wasn't the problem. Just 2 months later, in October 2023, both agencies confirmed the breakup, pointing to conflicting schedules. Jisoo was juggling Blackpink's global activities, while Bo-hyun was deep in filming and promotions. No scandal, no fallout, just two people at the very top of their fields who couldn't find the hours. The speed of it left fans wondering what might have been if they'd met at a different time. At the highest level of fame, finding room for a relationship can be every bit as hard as finding the right person. Number 2, Lee Jae-wook and Karina. What if I told you one of the most talked about couples of 2024 lasted only about 5 weeks after going public? Lee Jae-wook and aespa's Karina were first linked in February 2024 after reportedly meeting through the fashion circuit. The news instantly dominated headlines, turning them into one of Korea's hottest new couples overnight. But almost the moment it became public, it came under crushing scrutiny. Every move dissected, every rumor amplified, and most of the pressure landing on Karina. At one point, she posted a handwritten apology to fans. Not for a scandal, simply for being in a relationship. By early April, both agencies confirmed the breakup. There was no controversy, no fight, no stated reason beyond the two deciding to part ways. And while no one can really know how serious it was behind closed doors, many fans came away with the same quiet impression. The relationship was never given the chance to become one. Some romances end because feelings fade. This one seemed to end before it ever had room to start. Number 1. Ryu Jun-yeol and Han So-hee. How much pressure can a relationship take when the entire country is watching? Ryu Jun-yeol and Han So-hee found out the answer the hard way. Ryu Jun-yeol and Han So-hee were two of Korea's most sought-after stars, so when dating rumors surfaced in March 2024, fans were instantly intrigued. But what should have been a simple celebrity romance quickly spiraled into something far bigger. It began with photos of the two in Hawaii. At first, both sides denied they were dating. Then, everything changed when Ryu Jun-yeol's ex-girlfriend, Hyeri, posted a cryptic message that many fans interpreted as a reaction to the news. Suddenly, the internet wasn't talking about the new couple anymore. People were asking a different question. Did Ryu Jun-yeol move on too quickly? Some even wondered whether there had been any overlap between his old relationship and his new one. Han So-hee eventually addressed the controversy herself, confirming the relationship while firmly denying that she had dated someone who was still in a relationship. By then, however, the rumors had taken on a life of their own. Within just 2 weeks of going public, both agencies confirmed the breakup. No evidence of cheating ever emerged, and neither Ryu Jun-yeol nor Han So-hee admitted to any wrongdoing. But the non-stop speculation, accusations, and public scrutiny had already turned what should have been a new romance into one of the biggest celebrity controversies of 2024. We don't actually know how long they were together behind closed doors. What we do know is that once the relationship became public, it lasted only about 2 weeks. And now we reach the other end of the spectrum. From relationships measured in weeks, let's turn to the Korean couples who lasted years before finally calling it quits. Number 6. Ryu Jun-yeol and Hyeri. Remember Ryu Jun-yeol, the 2-week relationship we just covered? Long before that, he was half of one of Korean entertainment's most beloved long-term couples. His story with Hyeri began on the set of Replay 1988, one of the most successful and cherished K-dramas ever made. Fans adored their on-screen chemistry, and in a rare case of fiction becoming reality, the friendship between the two actors grew into romance. In 2017, they confirmed they were dating. What followed was nearly 6 years together. Unlike many celebrity couples, they didn't hide it. They were occasionally seen together, openly supported each other's careers, and became one of the few pairs fans genuinely believed would make it to marriage, which is exactly why the breakup hurt so much. In November 2023, both agencies confirmed they'd gone their separate ways after roughly 6 years, with reports suggesting they'd quietly grown apart long before the news became public. On its own, the split was a relatively quiet one. But a few months later, everything changed. When Ryu Jun-yeol's brief relationship with Han So-hee became public, fans immediately revisited the timeline of his breakup with Hyeri, and a cryptic social media post from her turned a settled story back into a national conversation. The echoes lasted years. During the Reply 1988 10th anniversary reunion, fans couldn't help noticing that the former couple largely remained out of each other's spotlight. And maybe that's the saddest part of all. Reply 1988 was the drama that brought them together. And for many fans, it's difficult seeing two people who once shared such a beloved chapter of their lives no longer able to comfortably share the same space. Number 5. Yoon Kye-sang and Honey Lee. How long does a relationship have to last before everyone just assumes a wedding is inevitable? For Yoon Kye-sang and Honey Lee, the answer seemed to be 7 years. The actor and former God member began dating in 2013 after meeting at the Busan International Film Festival. On paper, they were a dream match. He'd made the rare leap from idol to respected actor, while Honey Lee had become one of Korea's most admired actresses after first rising to fame as Miss Korea. And they did the relationship their own way, privately. They rarely spoke about each other in public and almost never put the romance on display, quietly building a life together far from the spotlight. It's no wonder so many fans assumed marriage was only a matter of time. What fans fixated on was what came next. A little over a year later, Honey Lee married a non-celebrity businessman and soon welcomed her first child. Yoon Kye-sang too found someone new and married. After 7 years, fans had already pictured the wedding, the family, and the future these two would build together. In the end, both of those futures arrived, just not with each other. There's something bittersweet about that. because it suggests that sometimes, even after years of love, support, and shared memories, the right person isn't necessarily the person you've spent the most time with. Number 4. Hwang, Jung-eum, and Kim Yong-jun. Can a relationship survive 9 years of breaking up and getting back together? For Hwang Jung-eum and Kim Yong-jun, the answer eventually turned out to be no. The actress and the SG wannabe singer began dating around 2006 and soon became one of Korean entertainment's most recognizable couples. So much so that they let fans watch the romance unfold on the reality show We Got Married. What made them so fascinating was their honesty about it. Over the years, Hwang Jung-eum openly admitted they fought often and split now and then, only to reconcile days later. She once even joked that after nearly a decade, maybe it was finally time to call it for good. Nobody took the joke seriously. Then, in May 2015, both agencies confirmed the couple had ended their relationship after about 9 years. The explanation was that increasingly busy schedules had pushed them apart. And this time, unlike all the times before, neither wanted to turn back. Fans were stunned. After so many years, most assumed marriage was the inevitable next chapter. The bigger shock was still to come. Just months after the split, Hwang Jung-eum revealed she was seeing someone new, and by 2016 she was married. For fans who'd spent nearly a decade following her relationship with Kim Yong-jun, the speed of it was almost impossible to process. Looking back, this feels less like a breakup than the end of an era. 9 years, countless reconciliations, a romance that seemed unbreakable until all at once it wasn't. Number 3. Jung Ho-yeon and Lee Dong-hwi. Can a relationship survive global fame? For nearly a decade, Jung Ho-yeon and Lee Dong-hwi seemed to prove that it could. The couple began dating in 2015 and went public the following year. Back then, Jung Ho-yeon was a successful model and Lee Dong-hwi a steadily rising actor. Then, everything changed. In 2021, Squid Game turned her into an international superstar almost overnight, with global fashion campaigns, major awards, and worldwide recognition. And through all of it, the relationship looked remarkably solid. They never seemed afraid to acknowledge each other. Most memorably in August 2024, when Lee Dong-hwi filmed chatting with a taxi driver in Los Angeles, proudly called Jung Ho-yeon both my girlfriend and my best friend. It was a small moment, but fans loved how genuine it felt, which is why what came next was such a shock. Just 3 months later, in November 2024, both agencies confirmed the couple had parted ways after about 9 years, choosing to support each other as colleagues while focusing on their own careers. No scandal, no controversy, no villain. And maybe that's why it hurt so much. No warning signs, no fallout, no one to blame. Just two people who'd spent nearly a decade together choosing separate paths. For many fans, this remains one of the saddest celebrity breakups in recent memory. Not because of how it ended, but because for so long it looked like one of the few that truly would last. Number 2. Gong Hyo-jin and Ryu Seung-bum. Most breakups end in silence or bitterness. This one ended in something far rarer, a friendship that outlasted the romance. Gong Hyo-jin and Ryu Seung-bum first met working on the 2001 drama Wonderful Days and soon became one of the industry's most respected couples. Long before celebrity relationships ruled headlines and social media, they built a reputation as a stylish, artistic pair who simply seemed made for each other. Their story wasn't one unbroken stretch either. They dated in the early 2000s, broke up, then eventually found their way back to each other, the romance spanning roughly a decade in all, making them one of the longest-running couples in Korean entertainment. That's why their final breakup in 2012 caught so many off guard. The reason was a familiar one, drifting apart amid demanding schedules. But there was no controversy attached, and both sides clearly worked to protect the respect they'd built over the years. And protect it they did. Even after the split, they spoke warmly about each other in interviews and offered friendly support from a distance, which kept fans wondering for years whether they might reunite. They never did. Both found happiness elsewhere. Gong Hyo-jin married singer Kevin Oh in 2022, while Ryu Seung-bum built a family of his own. No scandal, no bitterness, no dramatic fallout. Just two people who spent nearly a decade together, grew in different directions, and walked away with their friendship intact. Number 1. Sooyoung and Kyung-ho. If you'd asked K-drama fans a month ago which celebrity couple was most likely to get married, this would have been one of the first answers. 14 years. That's how long Sooyoung and Kyung-ho were together before their breakup was confirmed in June 2026. For an entire generation of fans, they weren't just a celebrity couple, they were the celebrity couple, the standard, the proof that love could survive fame. The two first grew close through mutual connections and began dating around 2012, going public in early 2014. Over the years, they became known for something genuinely rare in Korean entertainment: being openly affectionate without ever turning the relationship into a publicity tool. Kyung-ho spoke about Sooyoung constantly in interviews, crediting her with keeping him grounded and never hiding how much she meant to him. Fans adored them because they never seemed afraid to simply be a couple, which is why the breakup felt almost impossible to believe. On June 9, 2026, both agencies confirmed the two had ended their relationship after 14 years and would remain colleagues, explaining they'd naturally grown apart while focused on their careers. Almost immediately, the internet went hunting for a deeper answer. Some questioned how busy schedules could suddenly matter after 14 years. Others combed through old posts and interviews for clues. None of it has ever been confirmed by Sooyoung, Kyung-ho, or their agencies. The only confirmed fact is that the relationship ended and the two chose to part on good terms. Treat the rest as exactly what it is: speculation. One of the biggest debates online centered on marriage. Some fans criticized Kyung-ho, arguing that after 14 years together, he should have proposed long ago. Others quickly came to his defense, pointing out that throughout the years he had openly spoken about wanting to marry Sooyoung one day and had often said he didn't want marriage to become a burden on her career. In several interviews, he emphasized that both of them needed to be ready and that the timing had to be right. Ultimately, though, neither side has ever explained what happened behind closed doors. For more than a decade, fans watched these two grow up alongside each other, support each other's careers, and become one of the most admired couples in the industry. After 14 years, most people weren't bracing for a breakup announcement. They were waiting for a wedding one. Instead, they got a goodbye. And that wraps up our list. Honestly, I'm still not over Kyung-ho and Sooyoung's breakup. But what about you? Which breakup shocked you the most? Was it the couple that lasted only a few weeks, or the one that stayed together for more than a decade? And if you're looking for a happier ending, click on the video on your screen right now to see which Korean celebrity couples are still going strong in 2026. Trust me, some of them might surprise you.